In this project video, we're making a 2-layer wood and painted acrylic project on the Reno 65 Pro by Monport. Hi everyone, welcome to the Laser channel where we learn, create, and share. My name is Greg, and this project video is going to be broken up into 3 different parts. The first one being the project materials that I'll be using, followed up by the graphic within LightBurn software, and then kind of the star of the show is the Monport Reno 65 Pro CO2 laser machine. Let's get things kicked off with the materials I'll be using for this 2-layer project. The top layer is going to be this clear acrylic. It's going to be 3 millimeters thick. The bottom layer is going to be this nice high quality laser plywood. This is going to be quite a bit thicker, coming in at about 1/4 inch or about 5 millimeters if you're on the metric system. The wooden bottom layer, I really want that wood grain to pop out. I'll be using some Minwax wood finish. And to really top it off, I'll be using some Minwax spray polyurethane. To really spice up this clear acrylic, I'm going to add a touch of color to the back side of that. For this, I'm going to be using some nice high quality acrylic spray paint. I'm using the acrylic spray paint because it goes on very nice and even, and it typically only needs about 1 or 2 coats. The other reason is, well, it's acrylic spray paint and this is cast acrylic, and my idea is that this is going to chemically bond to the acrylic sheet, so it shouldn't have any chipping or cracking over time. The paint that's available to me locally is going to be iron lac. I think I got this from Michael's Craft Store. If you like to shop on Amazon, I think their brand is going to be Montana. And don't worry if you missed some of that. I'm going to have links down in the video description on both the materials and the machinery that I'll be using in today's video. Quick word on the Monport machine, I'll also have a code that's going to save you even more off of the laser machine and virtually anything at the Monport website. I'm going to start out by painting the acrylic. I'm doing this because I want the maximum amount of drying time for the paint. I want to have this whole entire project completed in one afternoon. Now normally I wouldn't show the paper being pulled off the acrylic so it could be painted, but this acrylic has been problematic. When I start peeling it back, it starts hanging up on the edges and I've got to restart a new edge. And I've used this stuff in the past and it ends up taking about 10 minutes per side to peel all the paper off. And well, I'm just too busy to wait that long. So I'm going to share a little tip that I have. And that is I grab a utility knife, put the blade all the way out, and then I just angle the blade a little bit and I drag it along the edge. And what that is going to do is cut the edge of the acrylic and some of the paper, and it's going to basically put a new edge on that paper, making it much easier to peel off. So this is peeling off so much easier now, and this specific acrylic that I have was sent to me for free, and now I know why they sent it to me for free, because this paper was just a bear to peel off. Now the acrylic that I have in the link is going to be from a source that I've used many times in the past, and it does not have this issue because I'd never want to try and point you in a direction with a material or a process that's going to be problematic. We want to have this easy, and most of all, we want to have it fun. This project's going to have 2 colors on it, the first one being black, and the second one is going to be this really cool silver metallic paint. The black paint, I'm going to put just a very light coat on it. It's perfectly okay if I've got some darker spots and some lighter spots, and maybe even if I have some spatter marks around on the acrylic too. Once this is dry, I'm going to come back over it with the silver metallic, and I'm going to put 2 light coats, making sure that it's completely opaque. I'm going to go outside and start with the black paint, and I'll be back in just a second to show you the spray pattern that I used for this first coat. If you've watched this channel a lot, you've seen me use the spray acrylic paint a lot, and that's because it goes on thick, it coats really well, it dries fast, and it is low odor. Now let's check out the spray pattern that I have on my sheet of acrylic, and just like I talked about, I've got a lot of little spray dots on here, and I've got some lighter areas and some darker areas, and this is exactly what I'm looking for. And maybe on your project, if this is not what you want, you can always spray stripes or maybe a crisscross or kind of a plaid pattern going across here. It's really up to your imagination of what you would like to look like. Now, I'm going to switch over to the silver metallic spray paint, and we're going to see later on, I'm going to speed forward a little bit to when we actually cut this out with the intricate design. All of these little blotchy spots, they're going to blend in and not be as apparent as they are right now. So if you're following along at home and you're like, what's he doing with all of this? It's all going to make sense later on in this project. I've got my 2 light coats on, and just check that out. This paint goes on so nice. Check this out. I'm looking at the monitor for the camera, and I can see a reflection coming off this spray silver paint. So I can't wait till this is completely dry and I can start peeling the paper off the other side to see what kind of effect we have between the black and this metallic silver. While the acrylic continues to dry, it's going to be a perfect opportunity to get some stain on this cool piece of laser quality plywood. The color that I'm using from Minwax Wood Finish is going to be Honey 272. Hopefully the camera can pick that up. Now this too needs to dry for a little bit. I'm going to set this near the acrylic panel for any fumes that might be coming off of this. While the wood and the acrylic continues to dry, it's going to be a perfect time to now dive into the computer and check out the graphic that I'm using for today's project. Within LightBurn software, I'm already connected up to the Monport Reno 65 Pro, and if you're ever wondering what version of LightBurn I'm using, you can always check that out in the upper left-hand corner. The very first thing that I always like to do is grab the rectangle tool. I'm just going to draw out a shape that is going to be whatever. I'm going to go over to the padlock, unlock that, and I'm going to enter in the dimensions of my work material, which is something like 18 inches wide by about 1 foot tall. That looks good. I'm going to put that over on a tool layer, and now I have a graphical representation of the size of the smallest work material that I'm using for today's project. I'm going to zoom back a little bit. We're going to see I've got all kinds of stuff up on the screen, so let's check this out. Whenever I'm think tanking inspiration for a project and I'm not really sure what I want to make, I just start importing different graphics from all different types of things. And here I've got some like little panels that would look cool. Here I've got like a skull with some flames. I've got some ducks. These graphics, by the way, were all imported as an SVG, a scalable vector graphic, which means I can either use them as a cutout layer or an engraving layer with no loss of detail. When we zoom in, I still have the original area of where I downloaded these from, which is freepatternsarea.com. These are free for me and for you to download for personal use. This is going to be what I cut out with the acrylic. And actually, I think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller at 10.5, and we're going to find out in just a second why. But for now, this looks pretty good, and this is all going to be cut out. So I'm going to put this over on a red layer, because for me, with my OCD, I always use layer number 2, the red layer, as a cut layer for all of my projects. And let's see what I've got for settings here. I think I'm going to slow this down to about 8 millimeters per second, and the max power is going to be at 80%. Min power, I'm going to also turn that to 80% as well. Air assist is going to be on. The mode is going to be line. I'm going to make sure that the perforation mode and tabs and bridges are definitely turned off. I don't want that when I'm doing this cutout. Now I'm going to highlight everything within the work area, and I'm going to hit Control D, and that is going to duplicate everything. I'm going to place that down below, and now I can come up here and I'm going to delete this pattern out, and I'm going to draw a perfect circle, and this is going to be the wooden layer, the layer that's going to be under the acrylic. Start out by drawing a circle, and I'm going to make this circle a little bit larger than the acrylic pattern we just took a look at. I'm going to make this 11 inches. I've made this circle 11 inches. That means it's going to leave a nice 1/4 inch reveal all the way around the outside of that acrylic design. Now, to help me get everything lined up and centered properly, I am going to draw another circle, and this time I'm going to make it a 1/2 inch smaller so that I get that 1/4 inch reveal. I'll move that right to the center, and I'm going to put this on layer 00. I'm going to do this as a line layer. I just want to score a line, a very light line, so I'm going to have the speed fairly high at 100 millimeters per second, and the power level is going to be fairly low at only 15%. That looks good, and once again, I want to make sure that the perforation mode is off, along with tabs and bridges is off as well. That all looks good, and I think we're ready to start taking a look at the Reno 65 machine. Here's just a couple really nice things that I like about the Reno 65 Pro. Starting out with, it's the Pro version, which means it's going to be LightBurn compatible. It's also compatible with AutoLaser, CorelDRAW, AutoCAD, and there's even a mobile app. The work area comes in at an ample 16 by 24 inches, which is perfect for a lot of large size projects. And if I need even more work area, the red trim piece in the front slides off to the side, revealing a front pass-through. The machine boasts a maximum speed of 800 millimeters per second. Focus is easily and repeatably set with the red focus assist tool on the side of the laser head. You simply pull the plunger down and raise the tool bed up, and when it snaps back into place, the machine is in perfect focus. And of course, with this being the Reno 65, it has a high quality 65 watt CO2 laser tube, and to control all of that power is a nice color display. The color display is also where I can insert a USB drive to run the machine offline. My nice high quality laser plywood is inside the Reno 65, and even though the machine comes with this nice honeycomb, I do have my work material spaced up using some magnets, one in about each of the 4 corners, and that's because I don't want any laser bounce back off the honeycomb on the underside of my nice plywood. To keep everything in place during the project, I do have a piece of painter's tape in the opposite corners. Pretty straightforward. All I need to do from here is hit the start button, and we'll watch a little video montage of a circle being cut out of some high quality laser plywood. The cutout came out round like it should, and I've got a nice thin score line that's going to really help me line up that acrylic top layer that we're going to cut out next. One of the things I did see is that I went kind of slow. I could have went much faster, and because of that, I've got a little bit of charring on the outside edge. So I'm going to grab some of my favorite cleaner. LA is totally awesome. I'll simply put a little bit on a paper towel and then wipe down the outside edges. That's also why I didn't spray the polyurethane right away. I'm going to get this outside edge cleaned up, and then I'm going to give it a nice coating of some spray polyurethane. Next, it's time for the acrylic. It's nice and dry, and it bonded perfectly to this cast acrylic. And now for the big reveal. We flip it over and check this out. Beautiful glossy finish on the top, and now I've got all of this nice black and that metallic silver showing through in this cool pattern. This is exactly what I was looking for, and this, once it's cut out with that intricate pattern that we just saw in the computer, this is going to look awesome. I'm going to get this set up inside of the machine, and we'll meet back up within LightBurn in just a second. Just as before, I do have the work material spaced up off of the honeycomb, especially now that I'm working with this acrylic. I really don't want any laser bounce back off of the honeycomb. The other thing I want to look at is the material. The golden question is, put the acrylic side up or the paint side up, and I opted to have the glossy acrylic side facing up with the painted side facing down towards the laser bed. And That's because I know the laser is going to cut cleanly through the acrylic, and when it hits the acrylic paint on the bottom side, that's when it's going to produce a lot of smoke. I think if I had the painted side on the top, as the laser is burning through it, might run the risk of pushing some of that smoke and soot down into that nice clear acrylic, making the cuts look kind of dirty. So, well, fingers crossed, we'll find out in just a couple minutes if I made the right decision. Two really important things I want to make sure I don't skip over. First of all, when cutting or engraving acrylic, I want the airflow of the machine down to just a little whisper of air. On the machine behind the main gantry beam is this air cutoff switch. Right now, in line with the air line, it is turned on at full blast. This is full off. And right now I'm going to turn it on so there's just a little whisper. The second thing and really important thing that I want to do is whenever I'm cutting or engraving acrylic, definitely when I have the paper peeled off, is I don't want any of that smoke residue to re-adhere to this acrylic. For this, I'm going to use some Dawn dish soap. I'm going to put a very thin layer across the area where the laser is going to be working, and the dish soap is going to prevent the smoke residue from adhering down to the surface, wrecking this nice glossy finish that we have. And best of all, when the project's done, this simply washes off with some warm water. A nice ample drizzle across the area. And very lightly with my finger, I'm just going to just simply go back and forth, making sure that the dish soap is even and nice, making sure I'm not going so fast that I start introducing little micro air bubbles. Once I have a nice even coating across the top surface, I can either wait for this to dry or I can start cutting or engraving immediately. It doesn't matter if the soap is dry or still wet. We're back in LightBurn, and a lot of the steps are pretty much the same as with the wooden base, although they are going to be a little bit different with the acrylic material that we're using right now. Now, first of all, with acrylic, I want to cut through with one single pass. Typically with wood, we want to do multiple fast passes, but with acrylic, we get the cleanest cuts if we go at a fairly moderate power level at a very low speed. In just a minute, we're gonna check out the acrylic cutout, which looks absolutely amazing, by the way. But first, I've got to geek out on the machine one last time, and it has to do with the controller. When I send a project out to the machine, that file is actually saved within the controller. I have the option of giving that file name its own unique name for being stored in the controller, which means if I'm running multiples, all I have to do is load a new blank in the machine and hit the start button on the controller. I don't need to have the computer connected up to the machine anymore. I knew this was going to look good, but this exceeds even my wildest expectations. This turned out absolutely perfect. I'll join the two parts of the project together with some Gorilla Glue. Here's what the dry fit looks like, and this thing just looks absolutely awesome. When I pick this off, we're going to recall that I did a light scoring line all the way around, and that is going to help me get this perfectly centered up. I think the easiest thing for me to do to get this glued down is actually just put a little bit of glue just to the inside of the score line. Put a little bit of glue in some of these spots where there's some room for some. maybe a couple other random spots. The nice thing about this Gorilla Glue is it stays wet until I press the two pieces together, so it gives me a little bit of working time. That looks good, and I'm going to grab some weights and put those on top right away. I'm going to start with a couple cans of the spray paint that I used earlier in the video. One more look at this completed project. I think if I made this one again, I'd paint the acrylic in a nice metallic red or maybe even a green. This project turned out absolutely perfect. Each and every one of the little cutouts was cut very cleanly without a cut line out of place. And this project was all completed within one afternoon. I hope that you'll join me in the next video on the Reno machine. I'm thinking about doing a setup and maintenance video on the machine, or I think I have a compatible rotary unit and maybe share with you how to get that set up on this machine. I'm not sure which video to make, so let me know down in the comments below. Thanks for joining me, and don't forget to give this video a like or subscribe to the channel. Not only is it a great way to help this channel grow, it's an awesome way to connect video content like this with other great viewers just like you. And until we meet again in the next video, I'm Greg from the Laser Channel, where we learn, create, and share.